Yay! Hello, everybody. I am live. Thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time today. I am just going to quickly share this so that people know that we are ready, and then we will jump right into the business of fancy dancing. Let me just share this on Facebook really quickly, and then boom. Let's see. Whoops. Okay. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Looky here. Let me go on and share this real quick. Okay. All right. Let me just pop back over here really quickly to make sure everything is giving what it is supposed to give. Hey, here we are. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, everyone. Let me make sure my sound is down on here. Hello, everybody. Ooh, it looks like I'm straggling. Running a little behind a little bit. That's interesting. Okay, we're going to just do what we do here, make the best of it. It does seem like the live stream is dragging just a tad. But I have everything that I need, y'all. Let me get rid of this. I have my all my stuff in order. I've got my cords and everything. So, oh, look, I think it finally caught up. Maybe I just needed to close a window. Y'all know I like to have about 11 tabs open. So I'm sure that might have been it. All right. So let's just get started. What are we doing here? We're going to add this to the stage. Yes, add to the stage. Put me in the side over there. Okay, so hello, everyone. Welcome to the Virtual Book Club, Lovely's Virtual Book Club. Today, we are going to be discussing The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. It was an amazing book. Let me do this real quick, y'all. Hold on a second. There we go. Well, I don't know if I like that one. How about... That's okay. We're going to pop back in and out. So today we're going to be talking about The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. Happy Native American History Month. I hope everybody is having a good time. Before we jump into the discussion, this is a phenomenal book. I hope everybody had a chance to read it. Before we jump into the discussion, though, I do have a few announcements. Here, let me do this. I think that is not what I want to do. Hold on one second, y'all. There we go. And I want to do... That's okay. We'll just keep my head right down here in the bottom part. That'll work just fine. Okay, so let's talk about a few announcements that we have going on. Now, first off, on November the 23rd, that's a Saturday from 1 to 4 at Rawlings, the main branch on Aubrey and Doe, we are going to be having an indigenous cultural celebration. It's called Giving Thanks. There's going to be a lot of different activities. You get to meet the three sisters, which is corn, beans, and squash. Find major indigenous nations. It looks like, braid sweetgrass, tell your story and hear from others. So basically what's going to be happening is this event is sponsored by SOAR, Storytellers of the Ancestral Red Rose. The Storytellers of the Ancestral Red Road presents a family-friendly event where you and yours can learn about Indigenous history, culture, and traditions. You're going to also get to learn the potato dance, the rabbit dance, and the friendship dance. Again, that's going to be November the 23rd from 1 until 4. It's free and open to the public at the Rawlings Library at 100 East Aubrey Endo. Let's see what else. Another announcement. On Monday, November the 25th at Lamb Branch Library, we are going to do some classic crafting for social seniors, holiday self-care. It's going to be from 2 to 3:30. They're going to be doing all kind of cool things like making body scrubs and lotions and whatnot. It's a wonderful time. You do have to register for that. So if you need help, please give us a call or stop by. Let's see what else. There was another one that I wanted to talk about really quickly. Here we go. On November the 30th, that's a Saturday, they are going to be having a film screening and discussion for teens. It's a film screening of Lakota Nation versus the United States. It's going to be from 2 to 4:30 p.m. at the Jidon Branch Library out on the Mesa. Let's see. A film that chronicles the Lakota and Indians' century-long fight to regain control of the Black Hills, sacred land that was stolen in violation of treaty agreements. So this is all to celebrate Native American Month or Native American Heritage Month. If you can join us for all these activities that we have, we would love to have you. Okay, let me just grab my notes here. I'm going to scooch this back just a little bit. I'm finding I might need a tad bit more room. All right, so let me see if we can do this. I'm trying to pop it so that my head is out of the screen. We don't want that one. There we go. Okay, there we go. So we are done with our announcements, so let's jump into celebrating this book. So again, we are reading Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. I hope I am saying your name right, ma'am. Let me pop this up so I can see it better. There we go. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, Angeline Boulley is an enrolled member of the Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewa Indians, is a storyteller who writes about her Ojibwe community in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. She is a former director of the Office of Indian Education at the U.S. Department of Education. Angeline lives in Southwest Michigan, but her home will always be on Sugar Island. Firekeeper's Daughter is her debut novel and was an instant number one New York Times bestseller. And then also, I have a note here. I want to be real specific. Where is it? Yes, Angeline Boulley is Bear Clan. Yeah, and like I said before, she's a member of the Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewa Indians, and her family comes from Sugar Island. All right. So next, let's pop this over here. Oops. So let's talk a little bit about the book and the awards and give you a little bit of a synopsis. A Time Magazine Best YA Book of All Time selection, Amazon's Best YA Book of 2021 so far, June 2021, a 2021's Kids Indie Next List selection, an Entertainment Weekly Most Anticipated Books of 2021 selection, a Pop Sugar Best March 2021 YA selection, a Prince Medal winner, a Morris Award winner, an American Indian Youth Literature Award YA honor book, a Reese Witherspoon Hello Sunshine Book Club YA pick, and again, an instant New York Times bestseller. And it's going to be adapted at Netflix for TV with President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's production company, Higher Ground. So there was something else before I jump in and start telling you about the book narrator as well. Hold on a second, y'all. Let me let me pop back here for a second, and we don't want to do that. Yes, we're going to do this. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. Boom. Okay, great. So, this was a phenomenal book. As you can see up here on the screen as well, the one thing that I've been forgetting to do, and I've been trying to get better about this, is to if I am reading the audio or listening to the audio version of the book, I need to give credit to the audio book narrator. And Isabelle Star LeBlanc did a phenomenal job. Y'all might recognize her from a couple of shows. I don't watch TV. I've told y'all that like a million times. I don't even have a TV at my house. So hold on. There we go. So wait, I wanted to put her back up. I want to do this. There we go. Here we are. TV. So she starred in Pet Cemetery 2023. I forget the name of I think it's called Bloodlines or Blood Ties or something like that. She was also in True Detective. Isabelle Star LeBlanc did her big one with this, that she made the audiobook really awesome. She's an amazing actress. She's a member of the Sisseton Wahpeton Dakota Tribal Nation. And I just think that she did such an amazing job narrating this. It's amazing that someone so young can make herself sound like somebody's old auntie. She is a phenomenal actress, and I really it makes me want to go and seek out some of her other work that she has done. Again, I don't have TV, so I had never heard of her before, but you guys would probably recognize her from a lot of stuff, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing so much more of her. I really enjoyed her narration, and I'm going to be doing that a lot more in 2025. Whenever I read the audio version of the book, I'll be sure to let you know who the narrator was, because they can make or break a book, and I promise you, little niece here made this book. She did a great job. Okay, so let's talk about some themes and tropes in the book. Reoccurring themes are going to be family and community. This is a coming of age story. We're going to explore themes of love, honesty, and respect, ceremony, pride and healing, justice, generational trauma, and bigotry. Now, if you are on the newsletter, then you got a copy of the questions already. Let me pop myself out of this chat right here, and then put myself right here. What are we coming up next with? All right. Let's do this. So then you got a copy of the newsletter question, you got a copy of the newsletter question. So, but before we jump into this, because this book is, it covers a lot of stuff. So I'm going to give you some content warnings. Then I'll read a brief scenario, and then we'll jump into the discussion question. So there's some content warnings / trigger warnings: substance abuse, murder, grief, sexual assault, racism, kidnapping, death by suicide, gun violence, cops / law enforcement officers, and 3-letter government agency groups like the FBI. Okay, so let me go on and read a synopsis real quick. Firekeeper's Daughter is a groundbreaking YA thriller about Donis Fontaine has never quite fit in, both in her hometown and on the nearby Ojibwe reservation. She dreams of a fresh start at college, but when family tragedy strikes, Donis puts her future on hold to look after her fragile mother. The only bright spot is meeting Jamie, the charming new recruit on her brother Levi's hockey team. Yet Even as Donis falls for Jamie, she senses the dashing hockey star is hiding something. Everything comes to light when Donis witnesses a shocking murder, thrusting her into an FBI investigation of a lethal new drug. Reluctantly, Donis agrees to go undercover, drawing on her knowledge of chemistry and Ojibwe traditional medicine to track down the source. But the search for the truth is more complicated than Donis imagined, exposing secrets and old scars. At the same time, she grows concerned with an investigation that seems more focused on punishing the offenders than protecting the victims. Now, as the deceptions and deaths keep growing, Donis must learn what it means to be a strong Anishinaabe Kwe, in parentheses, Ojibwe woman, and how far she'll go for her community, even if it tears apart the only world she's ever known. All right. Okay, and also too, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I really practiced trying to say the Ojibwe words correctly and everybody's names correctly, but I am speaking or saying words in a language I am not familiar with. So if I mispronounce anything, please blame it on my tongue and not my heart. I'm going to do my best though, okay? Now, one thing that I really wanted to clear up too, because I never knew this, but it makes sense, is, where is it? Y'all know I got my notes. So, Ojibwe and Chippewa are two names for the same tribe. Ojibwe is used in Canada, and Chippewa is used in the United States and in treaties. Like, that's the formal name. And Anishinaabe is what they call themselves. So that's why I never knew that, but it makes sense because in America, there is the Blackfoot tribe, but in Canada, they're called Blackfeet, or it could be vice versa. I always get that mixed up, but that's kind of why you'll hear it in the book. If you were reading the book, sometimes they will use all three. And so it's kind of hard to keep up if you're not aware that they're really talking about the same group of people. So I just wanted to clarify that because that was one thing that I kind of was having issues with too. Okay, so let's see. Now we're going to jump into the discussion questions. And I've told you what's happening. Okay, so the book opens up with Donis, and she is about to go on one of her regular morning runs. And as she's doing so, she's offering prayers, and she is naming off all of the different muscles in her body. And she offers prayers and ceremonial tobacco, or usually every morning. She'll pray for strength. She'll pray for beauty or love. And as we find out, throughout the book, she is an enterprising young woman. She was on the hockey team. She's a really smart young lady, and she is going to college. She puts off going to her first choice to stay closer to home because she has just suffered a death in her family. Her uncle David has died, and her grandmother, Grandmarie, is in the hospital because she had a stroke. Now, the thing about Donis is she has a white mother who's, I think the mother is French. Yes. Yes, because I was thinking there was Italians in her family too, but that's neither here nor there. I read the book a while back, and so my memory is a tiny bit fuzzy on the intricacies of her non-Ojibwe, Chippewa, and the Anishinaabe family. And so, but anywho, she has a white mother and an Ojibwe father. And so that's where we get a lot of these discussions about identity and where she fits in and how she fits in. She still has a connection to her people through her auntie. And when her father got her mother pregnant, they were both teenagers. And her mother is a Fontaine, and the Fontaines are one of the richest white families in that area. And so that was always one of the controversies that she had to deal with growing up, hearing all these rumors, because her father, who in the book has passed away, he died when she was 7. Her father got her mother pregnant, and then she went away to Montreal. Yep, she's French. Thank you. She went away to Montreal to have the baby, and she comes back 3 months later with 3-month Adonis, only to find out that her father is married to someone else and already has a baby named Levi. So now we're fast forwarding to the story. Her father is dead, and her uncles just died. They thought that he had relapsed. They thought he had a drug relapse and an alcohol relapse, a drug relapse. And so they're kind of dealing with all that. Also, her uncle David was the chemistry teacher at the local high school as well. So she's basically straddling 2 worlds. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to look for something in here. There we go. I was hoping that I could find an E. That's all right. So she's straddling 2 worlds, and that's where we deal with the identity issue. She doesn't really feel like she fits in completely into one spot. She's either a Fontaine or she's the Firekeeper's daughter. And the interesting thing about this, too, is that Angeline Boulley is also a Firekeeper's daughter. Her father was a Firekeeper's daughter. She also is has a white mother and a Anishinaabe father. Let me see what I wrote here. I was raised on stories. My dad is a traditional firekeeper. Yes, I am. Yes, I really am a firekeeper's daughter. He tells stories while tending ceremonial fires at our tribe's fasting camp and other cultural events. Firekeepers ensure that protocols are followed because ceremonial fires are different from ordinary campfires. You don't roast hot dogs or talk politics or even gossip around a ceremonial fire. Only good thoughts and words feed that special fire. So since she grew up on different stories and whatnot, she goes on to say that other stories enthralled me as well, especially mystery thrillers, Nancy Drew, Dana Girls, and Lois Duncan and Shirley Jackson. But none of the stories I read growing up reflected my identity as an Ojibwe girl with a native dad and a non-native mom. So that's going to be one of the major things, like we talked about before, is cultural identity, community connection, and whatnot. And I think she did such a good job at addressing that for people who, really don't feel like they belong anywhere. Or let me not say it like that, who don't feel like they have a place where they can truly be themselves all the time. I think that's a better way of putting it. So let's just launch into this. First, I was hoping, hold on, I'm going to do one more thing, y'all. Let me see if I can learn to use technology. This is funny because there's a thing in the book where the elders are being taught how to use their cell phones, and my young friends often tease me about how I text and how I hold my phone and whatnot. And I'm like, I'm your elder. Hush it. Let's see. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I'm going to see if I can find this real quick. Let's see. Is this a? Yes, Haunties. Okay, let me do this real quick, y'all. I really love Angeline Boulley's way with words, and she is just amazing. This is her first novel, y'all. This is her first novel. It took her 10 years to write this novel. She did have to go to work. Like I said, she used to work for the Department of Education. And specifically, let me see what she specifically said. Child, we might not have a Department of Education. coming up in 2025. I hope we keep it. It's very important. As you can see, but she used to work for the Department of Education, specifically dealing with Native children's education. So let's see. Okay. Let's do chapter 1 real quick. Not the whole chapter. We're just going to read a little bit, okay? Chapter 1. I start my day before sunrise, throwing on running clothes and laying a pinch of sema at the eastern base of a tree, where sunlight will touch the tobacco first. Prayers begin with offering sema and sharing my spirit name, clan, and where I am from. I always add an extra name to make sure Creator knows who I am, a name that connects me to my father, because I began as a secret and then a scandal. I give thanks to Creator and ask for Zugwadin because I'll need courage for what I have to do after my 5-mile run. I've put it off a week. The sky lightens as I stretch in the driveway. My brother complains about my lengthy warm-up routine whenever he runs with me. I keep telling Levi that my longer, bigger, and therefore require more intensive preparation. For each muscle as I stretch. Not just the superficial muscles, but the deep ones too. I want an edge over the other college freshmen in my human anatomy class this fall. By the time I finish my warm up and anatomy review, the sun peeks through the trees. One ray of light shines on my sema offering. Nashim, it is good. My first mile is always hardest. Part of me still wants to be in bed with my cat, Harry, whose purrs are the opposite of an alarm clock. But if I power through, my breathing will find its rhythm, accompanied by the swish of my heavy ponytail. My legs and arms will operate on autopilot. That's when my mind will wander into the zone, where I'm a part of this world, but also somewhere else. And the miles pass in a semi-alert haze. My route takes me through campus, the prettiest view in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, is on the other side. I blow a kiss as I run past Lake State's newest dorm, Fontaine Hall, named after my grandfather on my mother's side. My grandmother, Mary, I call her Grand Mary, insisted I wear a dress to the dedication ceremony last summer. I was tempted to scowl in the photos, but knew my defiance would hurt Mom more than it would tick off Grand Mary. I cut through the parking lot behind the student union toward the end of campus. The bluff showcases a gorgeous panoramic view of the St. Mary's River, the international bridge into Canada, and the city of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Nestled in the bend of the river east of town is my favorite place in the universe, Sugar Island. All right, so that introduction kind of just goes to show us what is important to Donis. There are a couple of things that are very, very important to her. She starts her mornings with prayer and a run because she is honoring Anishinaabe spiritual beliefs and language skills. And I don't know if some of y'all are aware of this or not. Hold on, let me pop this over. But I don't know if y'all are aware of the term linguicide. It is when a language is purposely killed or shut down or died or no, killed. It's not shut down or died. It is purposely killed. It is when someone goes out of their way to put laws into place to keep any group of people from speaking their native tongue. And so when a language dies, it's called linguicide. I just learned that term recently, not from this book, but from something that I saw on TikTok and how the Maori people stop their language from dying, because there were laws that are about to be put in place that would outlaw them from speaking their language. And because they didn't do that, now they have a whole group of children who are actually educated in Maori and speak it fluently. And so they really saved their language from linguicide. Anyway, I really love words and I love language, so I didn't even know that there was a term for killing a language, but it makes perfect sense, because you can, if you're strong enough or evil enough, you can kill anything, I guess. Anywho, so we're just kind of getting the basis. We're learning who Donis is. She's a smart young woman. She literally has her foot in both worlds. And I also think it's really interesting how she has her foot in America, but also in Canada too. And you'll see that going back and across the border becomes, I don't want to say it's a metaphor, but it kind of feels like a metaphor for being in two different worlds. Okay. So anyway, let's move on to the next question. How do you think Donis views her Firekeeper side versus her Fontaine side? Do you think she feels a stronger connection to one side of her family than to the other, and why? Does that change over the course of the novel? So in the beginning of the novel, we really see that Donis is trying to keep all of her worlds separate. She was a hockey player, but she doesn't date anybody on the hockey team. She's just keeping that separate. What else is overlapping? She doesn't like a lot of overlap. Yeah, hockey world and real world don't overlap. Let's see what else. Fontaine and Firekeeper worlds don't overlap. She really does not like it. In the book, we learn different stories. Like, she learned from a young age, based off of people's reactions, that it wasn't always a good time for her to be a Firekeeper or a Fontaine. One time she was hanging out with her mother's side of the family, and she was telling her grandmary how her Grandma Pearl, how Grandma Pearl healed her earache by putting her own urine in it. And I know that sounds nasty, but urine is sterile. And in a lot of different places, like if you have, what is it called? Foot fungus, they'll tell you to pee on your feet while you're in the shower because it'll kill the bacteria. And guess what, y'all? Guess what? It's time to do what? Talk about Lovely's granny. That's my granny, my great-grandmother Rosetta. And she used to cure people's acne by wiping their face with babies' diapers that just had the pee in it. So like back when babies, that's my other granny. Sorry, y'all. Let me put myself back here. There we go. Back when people would use cloth diapers to get rid of acne, you'd wash your face and then you'd wipe it with the baby with the cloth diaper to get rid of acne. Why? Because acne is based off of bacteria, and the more bacteria you have, the more little acne spots you have. This is before they had all these acne creams. I was about to say Stridex. I don't know about no acne cream stuff to get rid of it now, but this was before we had any of these lotions and potions and skincare routines or anything like that. So my granny was a herbalista curandera, Obia woman. She's very well versed in medicinal, in ethnobotany, medicinal stuff, anything around her. If she could figure out how to use it to help heal things or people, she would. And so I know that idea of Donis's grandmother putting her own urine in her granddaughter's ear to cure an earache sounds gross and disgusting, but baby, it worked. It worked because urine is sterile, usually, unless you're doing something that you're supposed to, like some of the people in the book. So anyway, I really just liked that story. Well, I liked how that little story was put in here to emphasize how Donis has had to learn when she can be a Firekeeper and when she can be a Fontaine. And it's not just from the Fontaines. On the cover of the book, let me see if we can go back. Let's pop this back here and we'll go back so I can show you the cover of the book. You'll see that you'll see right here. Let's see if there we go. And then let's make it bigger. So if you notice right here, the young lady on the left side is darker than the young lady on the right side. I didn't notice that at first, but there's talks of colorism as well. As we get into the book, we meet Donis's best friend, Lily. They've been best friends since they were in the 6th grade. And in the book, there's a part where she talks about let me go back. I barely touched it. Yeah, there we go. In the book, there's a part where she talks about how Lily and her are on the wrong side of the color spectrum for the Ojibwe people. She's too pale and Lily is too ruddy and brown. I think that's what she says. So we're talking also because Donis is not a enrolled tribal member because her father was not on her birth certificate. And Lily's blood quantum is too low to be counted as a full member. So there's a lot of straddling of 2 different kind of worlds and whatnot. So anyway, as the story progressed, we learned that Lily lives with her grandma June, which is her great grandmother. And she's been living with her since the 6th grade. And so we learn a little bit about how Donison is involved with her community and connects with her elders. And that her brother Levi is 3 months younger than her. And so there's that controversy. Levi has 2 native parents, and so he gets treated a little bit differently than she does. In fact, he's like the star guy because he's on the hockey team. He's a really good player. He inherited his father's soccer skill and soccer fame. And in fact, Levi and Donis both have memories of their father skating with them on the ice and dragging them around while he's skating and they're holding onto this scarf of his. And so he kind of inherited that reputation from his father. And there is a thing with the Ojibwe community. It's called per capita. They have a casino on the reservation, and all the tribal members get it's not per diem, it's per cap. Anyway, they get a yearly stipend. They get $36,000 a year for adults and a third of that for children who are enrolled. Donis does not get any of that because she's not enrolled, but because her white family is rich, she has her family's name on the college buildings, and she has a trust fund set aside. So she is in a different position than a lot of her community members. She is kept in contact with her community, even though her father died, through his sister, Auntie, and then I forgot Miss Lady's name. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can look it up because she just called her Auntie. Aunt Teddy. Aunt Teddy is married to Uncle Art. Uncle Art is Afro-Indigenous, just like one of my grannies was. And so they kind of talk about that a little bit too. She is involved with taking care or helping to raise. No, I don't want to say raise. She's involved with her nieces. They're twins. And if you grow up around a lot of family members, you're going to be involved with them too if you have a healthy relationship with your family. And so I didn't mean to say that she's raising them. She babysits them sometimes. She watches them sometimes because they're her nieces. So why wouldn't she? They're younger than her. She's part of their life. They're part of hers. And, she just likes to hang out with them. Sometimes she watches them so that her aunt and uncle can have some adult time and not worry about their babies not being watched and whatnot. Anywho, so that kind of just lays the groundwork for all the people that she's involved in. She is, involved in hanging out with her friend Lily and taking Lily's grandmother to have lunch at the community center, at the tribal community center for the elders. And, they're just kind of laying the groundwork for how she has all these different roles that she's involved in. She's kind of put off her plans to go to the college of her choice because she needs to stay home, or she wants to stay home because her mother is kind of going through it. Her brother just died. Her own mother is had a stroke and is in a nursing home. And so there's a lot going on. And so she decides to go and tell her grandmarie that she's not going to go to the college that she wanted to, and she's just going to hang out a little bit at the community college. And the thing is this too, when she finally mentions it to Lily's grandmother, Grandma June is a little bit upset because she's like, babe, you're a boat. You're not meant to be in no lakes and rivers. You're supposed to be go to the ocean. I'm sorry, I heard TLCs don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. Anyway, so there's a lot of connection with elders and whatnot in this book, and how even though in Lily's case, her blood quantum is too low, or like in Donis's case, her native father is not even on the birth certificate. These people know who their people are. They care about no blood quantum. They don't care about no birth certificate. Do the people in your community know you? Are you connected to your elders? Are you connected to your traditions and whatnot? And Donis and Lily are. So I really thought that was an interesting part of the book. Let's move on a little bit, because we've already talked about her keeping worlds separate and whatnot. I'm gonna try not to spoil it, but there are some parts that happen. So anyway, there's a new guy that comes into town. Hockey team. Donis also, she got injured. She's not the first girl to play hockey. There's another girl who played hockey too, and she's really, really good at it. Anyway, there's this new guy. His name is Jamie. He is also native. He's Cherokee. And his dad moves around a lot, and so his dad comes to become the new chemistry teacher, and that's taking over Donis's uncle David's old job, because he was the chemistry teacher at the school. And since he died, they have a new chemistry teacher. So anyway, Jamie comes, and he's Cherokee, and all the girls are like, oh, Jamie's so cute and fine and la la la. He ends up with Donis. And he's really nice. He has a girlfriend, but we don't know this. But well, actually we do. But you know, he lets everybody know, hey, I have a girlfriend, so it kind of keeps the other girls away. And so they're all hanging out at this hockey game, and Lily's ex-boyfriend comes, and his name is Travis, and he keeps trying to talk to her. And Donis does not like him because he does drugs. He used to be a part of the gifted and talented class, or group. I shouldn't say class as in hierarchy, but class as in school. And something happened with him, and he started using drugs, and he got hooked on meth. And so now he comes around, and he's all gaunt looking. He is, has meth mouth. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be nasty or rude, but y'all know people who do a lot of meth, they be losing their teeth. And they kind of have this gaunt look about them, because crystal meth is no joke, and don't do drugs, sure, it is bad. It's real bad. So anyway, Lily does not really want to talk to him so much, but he is like, I love you, Lily. I'm doing better. I'm trying to get off the drugs, yada, yada, yada. But Donis is really protective of Lily. She doesn't want Travis around because he causes problems. And apparently, I didn't know this, but you can make something called meth tea, where you filter meth in like your drink through coffee filters, and you can just drink it. So this dude, he is on the stuff. Anyhow, as the book progresses, Lily and Donis are trying to, get on with their lives, registering for their college classes. Because Lily is also really, really smart too, and Donis is smart too. And Lily's happy that they get to stay together a little bit longer and go to college. So go to college together. Because Lily was always going to go to college. She just wasn't going to go off the so far away to go to college. Anywho, as Jamie and Donis grow closer, they're kind of hanging out a little bit more, and Jamie is close to Levi, Donis's brother. So they keep bumping into each other. They're all at this powwow, and Travis asked to speak to Lily by himself, and Donis doesn't want to, but Lily's like, look, I'll just talk to him and then we'll get over it and blah, blah, blah. So Lily or Donis is hanging out with Jamie, and I think she cuts off her phone because they're just talking and chilling and whatnot. And then they're outside, and she starts to her arguing and whatnot, and she sees that it is Travis and Lily. And I think Lily finally told Travis, hey, stay away from me. I don't want nothing to do with you. I'm not getting back with you. And he gets upset, and they're arguing and whatnot. And then he pulls out this gun, and he points it at Donis's head. And Donis is like, oh my God, because she's shocked. She can't speak. Nothing is coming out of her mouth. It's like her voice gets stuck in her throat. And so he's like motioning with the gun, and Lily is like, give it here, hand me the gun. And so Travis is talking a little crazy because he's high on meth, and he swings the gun like he's gonna shoot Donis, but then at the last minute he takes it and he points it and he shoots Lily. He shoots Lily at point blank range. He shoots her, she falls back in slow motion, and she dies. And then he takes the gun and he shoots himself. And so she's freaking out. She's scared. This has been several weeks since she's met Jamie. Donis has met Jamie and whatnot. And so she's hiding by this truck. She tries to go and get her friend because she's like, oh no, Lily, my best friend in the whole wide world. What the hell? And Jamie goes and runs up on Lily. And Donis is noticing this, and she's like, wait a minute, he's being too calm and quiet and whatnot. He checks her pulse and whatnot, and he's like, we have to get out of here. You need to get out of here. And they leave. And then they get all these texts and whatnot, and she starts realizing, hey, this kid is not who he says he is. He did that way too quickly, way too quietly, yada, yada, yada. Come to find out, Jamie is a secret FBI undercover agent, and they are coming to see who is selling meth on the res. Where is this meth coming from? Who is doing it? And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. One of the questions was, hang on, it said, what was the most unexpected aspect you learned about in the story? That Jamie was an FBI agent. He ain't no 18-year-old boy. He a 22-year-old man doing undercover work. And then so poor Lily dies. Then they talk about the 4-day ceremony to pass her over to the new world and whatnot. And also his dad or his uncle, Ron, who's the new science teacher, Ron is also with the FBI. He ain't nobody uncle. They're both agents. And these numbskulls, they ask Lily to help with the investigation. Not Lily. Lily has passed away. They asked Donis to help with the investigation. A freshly new 18-year-old girl whose full frontal cortex ain't even fully developed yet. And they're like, excuse me, can you help us bust a meth ring? So as the story goes on, she's like, yes. She's like kind of conflicted, but she wants to get to the bottom of who's dealing the meth, and how Travis was involved because he just killed her best friend, Lily. And so she also wants to protect her community. And Ron and Jamie tell her a story of these native teens who were doing meth, and then they all had a group hallucination. And it is because this is a new type of meth that they think is being produced with hallucinogenic mushrooms. Come to find out, her Uncle David, white Uncle David, had not relapsed. He was not drinking and doing drugs again. He was, what do they call him? A CI, which stands for critical It's somebody who is not an officer, but they are helping with the investigation. Civilian investigator, something like that. I can't remember. They called them CIs. And so his death was suspicious, and he was murdered. And so Donis feels really bad because she was not believing in her uncle and thought that he had relapsed. Uncle David had a drinking problem, was an alcoholic, because Uncle David, well, not because Uncle David was trying to deal with his own issues of homophobia, internalized homophobia, because Uncle David was gay. And the Fontaines are very exacting people. You have to be a certain way and do certain things to fit in their society because they're rich and white. And so having a gay son was not the business. They already had a daughter who got knocked up by a native man, and her white side of the family is racist toward native people, saying that Donis's father was one of the few natives with potentials right in front of her. Like, she, their little brown grandbaby, they talking smack about her people. And so that's why Uncle David had a drinking problem, is because he had to deal with internalized homophobia, and living in a homophobic society and how they were treating him. Anyway, he did not relapse. His death was suspicious. We later find out that he got murdered. He got murdered because by one of the people who was in that meth ring that's on the res. Now, here's the deal. Because these people are getting a per capita every year, it is not unusual to see people with nice cars or buying a nice house or renovating things. Because if you get $36,000 a year, plus all of your children get a third of that until they become adults and they get $36,000 a year, you're going to have a little bit of money. And so having these nice things is not setting off any red flags for her, because she comes from a rich white family, and then half of her other side of her relatives get that per capita every year. And anywho, let's jump into some more questions, because hold on, let me see where we are, because I know I'm telling you the story, but also no, okay, but also it's a part, it leads into the questions. It definitely leads into the questions. So let's see. So that's the story there. So now Donis is a part of this FBI investigation, and she gets to be native Nancy Drew and try to figure out who's making the meth and selling it to the people in her community. Oh, I forgot. So the FBI tells her a story of these native teens who all got high off of this meth, and they all had this group hallucination. And she's like, well, are they okay? And Ron and Jamie aren't concerned about if those kids are okay, like Donis is. They're concerned about what caused the group hallucination. Why did they all have the same one? And group hallucinations are, I don't want to say they're rare, because they're not, but it's usually caused by something else, like somebody implanted a suggestion in your brain or something. In this case, it was the little people, the spiritual folk in the Ojibwe, is it Pantheon or cosmology? In the Ojibwe cosmology, they're the magic little people who sometimes play tricks on folks, but will chastise you when you're doing bad things. That's why they all had that group hallucination. It wasn't because the person who was cooking up the meth put mushrooms in it, although they did, and it made them super addicted. It was the little people telling them kids, hey, y'all need to quit doing that bad stuff. They were trying to get them on the straight and narrow. But because Jamie and Ron are not Ojibwe and they come from a different tribal community. Jamie is Cherokee, and I forget what nation Ron said he was from. I don't even remember if he actually said it. But so they're not connected to the community in the same way that Donis is. They're just there to do an investigation. And as soon as I found out that Jamie and Ron were FBI agents, I'm like, Donis, get away from them immediately. Get away. Because there have been studies or cases where FBI agents and or Leos were involved in these long-term undercover operations, and they would get married and have children and just be lying to their spouses. Lie. How you supposed to have a whole relationship when one of the people in that relationship is a liar? They're not telling you the truth. This comes out to fruition later in the story when Jamie cannot distance himself from Donis, and they end up having relations and whatnot. And she is 18, and she's technically above legal age, but Again, she's a baby. She's just a baby. Her frontal cortex ain't fully developed, and neither is Jamie's, to be quite honest. Anywho, let me dial it back. We'll get back onto the question. So, Donis often seeks wisdom and guidance from the elders. Can you describe the role of the elders in the Ojibwe community? How does this compare with the roles of senior citizens in your community? So, in the Ojibwe community, an elder is someone who have stories and lessons and can guide you. They're not always a cultural teacher, but sometimes they are. And so the trusted elders who are involved in the community, who have proven that they, know about the ethnobotany of the land, know about sacred ceremonies, know the different stories, know the different cultural heritage. She tends to seek those people out, and she interacts with them because they are trusted people and trusted elders in her community. Now, this question here is, how does this compare to the role of senior citizens in your community? And that's the key word right there. Because again, there go my grannies. There go my grannies right there. Both of these women, that's my Granny Bertha, that's my paternal grandma, and that's my Granny Rosetta, and she is my maternal great-grandmother. Look, it's my twin, y'all. Both of my grandmothers that I just showed y'all were elders. And here is the deal. When you get old, you can just be an old person, and that is somebody who just is old. They have age. They have a lifespan behind them. You can be an elder is age plus wisdom. So it is not just because you are old that you get to be called an elder. Everybody gets old, or hopefully everybody. All old people are elders. Elder is age plus wisdom. Some people are old fools. And then there's some people who are elders, and that's the difference. And so when this question says, how does this compare to the role of senior citizens in your community? All senior citizens ain't going to be elders. Some of them is just old. Some of them are old fools. So you need to look for somebody that you call an elder who has age plus wisdom. And as the story progresses, we realize that there's some old fools in this book. Anywho, so Donis agrees to be a part of this investigation, and Ron and Jamie tell her, hey, you need to be careful. We cannot authorize you to do illegal things. Call us first, da 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 da. Y'all, they take this baby girl and they teach her how to cook meth. They teach her how to cook meth because she's smart and she knows about chemicals and ethnobotany and mushrooms and whatnot. Why they had that girl in there, like, what's that dude from Breaking Bad, Walter, whatever his name is? I didn't watch that show, but they had that baby up in there watching movies and stuff, cooking meth. So she could bust the ring and figure out who it was. Also, she was a person of interest. She was a person of interest because she was so smart. And she got mad. She was like, you guys thought I was cooking meth? You thought I was doing it? I would have been mad too. How dare they accuse that young lady of making meth and cooking meth just because she's smart? You can't even be smart nowadays without somebody thinking you're cooking, making drugs and crack or whatever in the kitchen. Oh, I need this. Sorry, that part made me mad. I did not like that. Anywho, let me see what time it is. Let me check the comment section real quick, because I know I just been talking about what you call it. Let's check the comment section. I don't see anything. Let me double check over here real quick. Anywho, let's get rid of that. I just want to make sure real quick, y'all. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, I don't see anything. Okay, I was just double checking. Nope, I don't see anything. All right, let's get out of here. Sometimes things are laggy. All right, so let's go move on a little bit because it's 5:08. Let's talk about Aunt Teddy. So, one thing I forgot to mention, when Lily dies, her mother comes to the funeral, and Donis is having a little bit of struggle, a little bit of issue with Lily's mom, because Lily's mom is not in her life. And Lily often said that she was her mom's practice baby. And so one time they were talking about it, and Aunt Teddy overheard them, and she explains to Lily and Adonis, or I said Adonis, excuse me, Lily and Donis, she was like, when you are talking about Lily's mom, you need to think about who she was raised by. And she starts explaining to them that Auntie June's daughters were part of the Great Scoop. For those of y'all that don't know, the government used to go and scoop up Native American children, take them away from their community and their people, put them in boarding schools. And it was very militaristic. It was very learn how to cook and clean and scrub for the women, and learn how to farm and do manual labor for the guys. They would cut off their hair. They would get in trouble for speaking their language or practicing any of their cultural ways. And many of those children were abused physically, emotionally, and sexually. And Aunt Teddy starts telling them how Grandma June's girls, 3 of them came back from that place, and they were messed up. One of them came back and she had like plastic scars, or the palms of her hand looked plasticky and they were scarred. And anytime she heard the kettle whistle for boiling water, she would run out of the house. Another one was afraid of men and had to sleep with her back against the wall. Now, why would somebody be scared of the whistle of a kettle and also have plasticky hands? She was abused. Somebody poured boiling water on that lady's hands. I'm not going to go into the great detail of why somebody would be scared of men and why they had to sleep with their back against the wall. But again, that was a trigger warning in this book, but there's a lot of sexual violence that happens in this book, and that happened to those children who went to those Native American boarding schools. And so Aunt Teddy is explaining to Lily and Donis, when you are talking about Lily's mom, you need to remember that she was raised by one of those girls that came back that didn't kill herself. So Grandma June had 3 daughters who all got scooped up. 2 of them committed suicide, and the other one raised Lily's mother. And so that is how generational trauma gets passed down, because those women suffered so greatly that they decided they wanted to shuffle off this mortal coil. And those who did live and did have children ended up passing their trauma down to those children. And in the book, I don't want to, because our time is almost up, I don't want to let this part go, but in the book, unfortunately, Donis ends up getting sexually assaulted by one of the men. I think he was the lawyer, Grant. He ends up sexually assaulting her only after she gets her tribal enrollment. Donis gets enrolled in gets her tribal enrollment because her Aunt Teddy is working with her mother. She provides a letter saying she never put Donis's father on the birth certificate, and then she gets affidavits from elders in the community. You only need like 2 or 3 affidavits, but she gets 23. She gets 23, even from one from Miss Sweeney, that lady that Seenie that Donis is scared of. Because of something she did at a powwow when she was little, and that lady chastised her to take her culture seriously. Anyway, Donis was like, oh, do I want to become tribally enrolled because I'm still Ojibwe? I don't care what that piece of paper says. But then her auntie counsels her to think 7 generations into the future. Think about your children. This is a gift from your father. And so she does it. And then it didn't click to her that Grant was so super excited or super interested or just talking about how she is now enrolled tribal member. And that's because Grant is a serial rapist. And he knows that if he rapes a Native woman on their land or on a tribal land that maybe the tribe has bought, he won't get prosecuted. He won't get prosecuted because he is not Native. And so he can go there and commit all kinds of crimes. And because that is a sovereign nation within a nation, they cannot try him. And so that's exactly what he does. And it's not the first time he did it. Those other two girls that ended up dying, who were a part of the meth ring, by the way, because we're running low on time, they was putting the meth in the hockey pucks and carrying it back and forth across Canada when they would have to go to different games and whatnot. And Grant's son, Mike, was the ringleader of the meth gang. Her scallywag, Rasputin, raggedy old brother Levi was also a part of it, and so was Stormy. Stormy was another guy on the hockey team. A, a, I keep wanting to say Adonis. Adonis didn't catch all of this because, again, she's keeping her world separate. And to her, these are old hockey teammates. They're old hockey teammates. She's kind of brushing things off. The coach was involved. Coach Bobby was involved. And so anyway, I'm saying all this because in the end of the book, she realizes that she thought horribly of her uncle who sacrificed himself so that people would get caught. He overdosed on the meth that they were forcing him to take so he would die and his death would look suspicious. Mike was not even ashamed that he killed him and forced him into doing that kind of stuff. There was so much backbiting going on. Levi was going to frame Donis as a part of the meth gang because he was depositing in her. They shared a bank account, and he was doing wire transfers, like $20,000 of wire transfers in and out of the account. Because a couple of girls ended up dying. Robin and another one of the girls, I forget that young lady's name. They were selling meth on campus at college and whatnot. And they ended up murdering her. Mike did, and he was planting evidence in Levi's room. So, anywho, Donis gets her Nancy Drew on. Her and Jamie end up getting kidnapped. She ends up getting out of there because they're coming, and feeding them and whatnot. The elders are the ones who end up helping her and saving her and helping her get away across the ferry. Sweeney, calls people because they had this thing at the community center where the young folks helped the elders use their cell phones and set them up. And because of that community connection and helping each other, when they saw that Donis was in trouble, all them elders came and rose to the occasion. There are parts in the book where they were talking about if you go to certain parts on the reservation, you weren't going to get a cell signal, or parts on the Sugar Island, you weren't going to get a cell signal. And so people who live there knew that. Matter of fact, I'm in the basement right now. I swear it's painted with lead paint. Sometimes I don't get a cell signal down here, and I'm just in the basement. Anywho, so I really like that tying into the book and how the elders in the community did what they were supposed to do. Ooh, let's talk about blanket parties real quick. Earlier in the book, before excuse me, y'all. Earlier in the book, before Donis realizes that Jamie is actually a 22-year-old undercover agent, her Aunt Teddy, after she'd been babysitting the twins, is talking about going to a blanket party. She's heard of blanket parties before, and she wanted to go. And and Aunt Teddy was like, "No, live your nice life." And blah, blah. And it hurt Donis's feelings because she didn't understand why Aunt Teddy got so mad. And so they talk about it later. And she was like, "You're not prepared for this kind of violence." A blanket party is a way women get justice for violence committed against them by men. And so basically they grab, all the women go, they gather all the women up, and they go and they jump the man who's ever done something. He's either beaten his wife, he sexually assaulted her, or not even wife, just a man committing violence on another woman or on a woman. And let me see, there's a question in here about but yeah, Aunt Teddy describes a blanket party as Nishque justice. What do you think of this form of justice? What do you think led to the creation of blanket parties? How do you think this might influence Donna's understanding of justice? So anyway, these women had to come up with this form of justice because people like Grant were exploiting loopholes. There's actually, missing Indigenous women, missing Indigenous girls and women. There's a whole campaign. You've probably seen campaigns where there's like a red palm over these women's face, or just a red palm over anybody's face. And they're trying to bring awareness about missing and exploited Indigenous women and girls. It happened so much that they had to start making people have awareness about this, so that we can put it into it. But also, these women had like a whisper network, and these whisper networks are actually real and true to this day. They know that people are not going to protect Native women like they will non-Native women, or like they will white women. They're just not going to get justice through the court system, so they have to seek justice on their own. And that's why they have blanket parties, and they be beating the mess out of whoever is assaulting them. And honestly, if you don't want to go to a blanket party, then don't be going around doing stupid things, and you won't get jumped by a whole bunch of women who this is their only course of action, or their only recourse to get some sort of justice. I don't feel no kind of way. Don't go out assaulting people, and then people won't have to beat you up to teach you a lesson. Anywho, let's see. Oh, so Donis is upset because she wants to go, and she doesn't quite understand why her auntie does not want her to be there. And it's because these women have all been assaulted. Donis did not realize that, and she wanted to go to a blanket party so bad. She didn't realize you had to be a member of the club to go to a blanket party, until she became a member of the club. And that is one membership you do not actually want. You don't want to join that club. That's not a club that you want to join voluntarily. It's not fun and games. It's a lot of trauma and a lot of recovery, and hopefully some healing. And, they had to go and get their own justice because nobody was giving it for them. And anyway, I'm going to move on before I say some stuff I probably shouldn't be saying. Let's see. I think that let's talk about Jamie really quickly. So as it turns out, Jamie and Donis do not end up staying together as a couple, because she feels like Jamie is echoing some of Travis's sentiments right before he killed Lily. The thing with Jamie is that he was adopted out as a young baby. Robin Swanson, but then her name changed when her native father, who was her biological father, claimed her and sets her mom up for a drug bust so that he could get her per capita, because she's a young person, so he could get it and use it. That's what was happening with Stormy. His mother would get her per capita, spend so much money, like that $36,000, and then take his money too, because he was a minor, so she was taking his money. Turns out that Levi's mom, Dana, who was a tribal judge, was also in the meth ring. And they started selling meth because they were like, look, this per capita is not going to last forever. It's going to dry up, and then we're going to be poor again. And so they thought of it as an investment. And it was really, really hard for Donis to come to terms with her brother not being the person who she thought he was. What does she call them? Boy lies. She said that her father was the first one to tell her a boy lie, because he went off to do work when she was 7 and he ended up dying. And so she was really upset about that. But then she had one relationship with a tribal police officer named Teddy, and they'd only been dating for a few months. And Teddy broke it off. Come to find out, Teddy broke it off because Levi said if he didn't quit messing around with his sister, he was going to end his hockey career, break his legs or something. And because he was violent, of course, TJ was like, okay, and backed off. Anyway, it turns out TJ was not as bad as Donis thought. She didn't know that her brother was was a rapscallion. And was selling meth to his community that he claimed to love and care so much about, but he was killing them by selling them poison and whatnot. Anywho, I'm gonna wrap this up. Wait, let me make sure let me look at one more question. I really thought this was a great book. Again, lots of trigger warnings, lots of really hard stuff. It's a heavy novel, but I think that Angeline Boulley she did her big one on this. It was her debut novel. She has another book, and it's called I cannot remember. I'm so sorry, y'all. She does have a second book out. It is also read the same narrator that did this one. LeBlanc did that one as well. And she just, phew, this was an amazing book, but y'all, thrillers are not for me. It's too close to real life. I really think though that if you like thrillers and true crime, that you really love this book. I can't wait to see what else Angeline Boulley comes out with. They're gonna, like I said, they're going to be doing a Netflix movie on this. If you enjoyed this book and enjoyed me talking about it, you really might like some of these other books. Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Hearts Unbroken by Cynthia Leach. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your last name. Sorry to you, Cynthia. Pemmican Wars by Katharina Vermette. And A Lot's Away by Darcy Little Badger. We actually read A Lot's Away for one of our book clubs. I think it was probably in 2022 maybe or something like that. I really love A Lot's Away. I love Darcy Little Badger. You can't go wrong reading a Darcy Little Badger book. She is a Lagniappe Apache, and their territory is in Texas. And she describes Texas so well. I'm like, yep, you a Texas girl. I'm a Texas girl. It was just a beautiful book. So anywho, oh, I forgot, y'all. Let me put this back. This is our last time meeting for the year. Thank you guys so much. Look, boo. Thank you so much for a wonderful year of reading. I'll see you in 2025. If you are part of the newsletter, you will be getting all of the books that we're going to be reading for 2025. I'm going to send out the last newsletter of the year in December. You'll get all the books. If you want to get a head start, you can get it then. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me during the live stream. Thank you so much, replay viewers. I really appreciate you all being here. Again, that was a really wonderful book. It was a heavy book. I think it turned out well in the end. If you are sensitive like me, I still think it's a very good book, but please pay attention to those trigger warnings. In the book, excuse me, in this packet, they had a lot of information on resources on substance abuse, mental illness, domestic violence, and all that kind of stuff. I have that information. If you need it, please reach out. We sign up for the newsletter. If you sign up for the newsletter and you say, hey, I didn't get that information, I'll send it to you personally if that's something that you think could be useful to you. All right, everyone, it's been awesome. I appreciate you, and I will see you in 2025 with a whole new slew of books. All right, have a really good day.